Let's rock and roll and jump into the goodness. All right, so this is my special edition exclusively for copy skills. You will see how I modified it throughout the entire presentation. This is taken from my own sales school, which is called the Sales Success Lab, because cold outreach and DM conversations is clearly something that I teach my entrepreneurs and sales pros. So you're getting exclusive access to something that only my paid clients usually get. So I'm really excited to be here because I feel one reason that I'm really pumped for today is that content and copy, emails, social media content, all of that, it is such an important part of true sustainable growth for so many business owners. And so my intention for today is to make you feel rock solid about your selling skills, not just so that you can make money, which is amazing, but I also would love to see you make other people money. And I call that the ripple effect. And if I can be part of the ripple effect, that's when I feel absolutely amazing about what I get to do. I was in outside sales as a remote employee, but traditionally what that means is that you're knocking on doors, bringing donuts to people so that they'll talk to you. And it was a really, really, really tough beginning part of my career to get to feel confident enough to know that what I was selling was worth someone's time and that I can help them. And to give you a visual, and I love that Nabil put this actually in the presentation, or not the presentation, the advertisement for basically this event, was I got doors slammed on me all the time. And I was a young, attractive girl going door to door, talking to C-level executives, attorneys, CPAs, C-suite. Like, it was intimidating. And I had to sit there in my car and like pump myself up. I was like, all right, Michelle, what you're selling is amazing. You could do this. It doesn't matter if they're 50 years old and you're 22, like, you provide value. And the reason why I'm telling you this right now is that if you're in the beginning stages of your business, and I had a couple of private conversations with a few members where, I don't have all the testimonials, right? Or I don't have the portfolio that other people do. And the thing to remember is that that's okay. That is absolutely okay. We're going to talk about how to communicate a value without all of those things today so you can get your foot in the door and start to gather those. So we're going to talk about cold outreach. And cold outreach doesn't have to feel cold, but if you want it to be cold, there's some really, really cheeky ways that you can grab attention without feeling like a spammer or feeling sleazy or pushy. And I know a lot of you are on LinkedIn and Twitter. And real quick, like, how many times are you getting marketed? Just like in the chat below down there, like, I'm sure you get marketed all of the time on LinkedIn, all of the time. And I accept a friend request and all their bots start going and I get all my sequences and all of the things. I actually save the ones I like and screenshot them and use them in presentations. So you'll see it today. And I encourage you actually to do the same thing. Okay. So if someone cold messages you and you're like, ooh, I kind of like this, I want you to create your own vault. Okay. Because you are empowered to do these things on your own too, not just with me here. So screenshot the ones you like. If you get cold emails, screenshot that and create like a sample outreach drive for yourself so that you can mix things up, get creative, and things change really, really fast in social selling. So just keep track of that stuff. Another thing is keep it short and direct. It's a cold outreach, okay? Like, you don't need to ask about their kids and how the weather is. Like, honestly, that stuff does not really matter in cold outreach. People want you to be direct, how you can help them, and have a simple call to action. That is the best way to get an initial response. Then we can work on relationship building and things like that beyond it. But that's a huge it's a huge misconception in cold outreach, or at least in my experience coaching people, it is. They feel like it has to be this really, really lengthy thing. And I delete everything that's too lengthy from cold outreach. If it's simple and to the point, I'm like, if you've hit the right person, and I want you to hear this, if you've hit the right person, they will respond. And why this little piece that I just said is so important is that it is a data game if you're doing consistent cold outreach, okay? So you're going to get a ton of no's. You're going to get more no's than you're going to get yeses. But this is the thing, is that if you actually listen to the no's, you can adjust your outreach. You can adjust what you're saying. You can adjust who you're reaching out to. And if you have a little bit of thick skin, which we all need in entrepreneurship, you're not going to be that upset if you're using the needle to move forward, right? And if somebody gets mad at you and they go crazy, just remember it's on them, it's not on you, okay? It's a big, big mindset thing. Okay. Also is just knowing when to tweak. So a lot of times when we're getting used to first doing a bunch of cold outreach, what happens is that we're like throwing spaghetti at the wall, wondering what's happening. We have no consistency. We can't track things. Please, please don't do that. What is really important is that you decide on, okay, I'm going to send either this message or this one. Just pick 2 standard outreach messages and clearly adapt them, which I'm going to teach you how to do. Okay. Work them hard, like do a lot. And I mean like maybe 20, 30 outreaches every couple of days. So maybe like 10 to 15. If you can do more, great. I mean, if I had the time myself and I wasn't packed with clients at this point of my business, that's honestly all I would be doing is trying to get clients. And this is the thing about outreach and sales and social media is that if you're not busy, let's say you block 8 hours a day to work. I'm just using like a standard number. You're working 8 hours a day. If you don't have 8 hours of clients, everything else you should be doing would be to get clients, right? So if you have 4 hours of work, the other 4 hours is for getting clients or learning or, whatever else you have in your day-to-day business. The biggest mistake I see is that people are like, oh, I'll spend 1 hour a day doing this or 1 hour. And I'm like, where'd you get that number? Are you booked out? Because if you're not booked out, then you should be selling. Then when you're booked out, then you can do less, but you can never stop because what you do now predicts your next 90 days. Okay. But I do want you to understand that flow. And we're going to talk about customizing outreach. And I'm going to give you some samples because I feel so strongly about samples because it's really going to help us. And because you're all copywriters, this is going to be super easy for you. Okay. It's just a different way of copywriting. So first of all, I want to talk about your storefront. And I used real life examples to make this applicable to everybody here. And what a storefront is in social selling is that this is the first thing people will do if you DM them, okay? 150% of the time. You DM them, and guess what they do? They click on your profile to see if you're a bot, if you have a fake profile, if you're legitimate, or all of the other things. So I call that my storefront. Now, if your storefront doesn't look good, right, then it's really not very compelling to them to then respond because it dips your authority, right? And the cool thing is it doesn't need to be complicated. Your storefront doesn't need to resemble that of a multi-million-dollar company, right? It just needs to be clean, direct, and professional. So, Sultan of Copy. All right. I absolutely love your storefront. It's amazing. And I'm going to tell you why. There's a few things I want to bring up right here, right? First of all, Sultan of Copy. If you're a copywriter, that's pretty cheeky, right? So you're basically showing that you're great at copywriting in your storefront, okay? Which is amazing. And I absolutely love that. It's super clean. It's easy to read. And also I absolutely love your bio. And the reason why I love it is it's super clear who you help, what the outcome will be, and you're pre-qualifying with your bio. Does everyone see how he's pre-qualifying? So he's saying, I'll help you make an extra 25K, which is great. So that's the outcome, right? But what's required for him to be able to do that is you have to have at least a 2K offer and an audience size of 5K or more. That is amazing and ultra clear because clearly I'm assuming there's a lot of email copywriting that you're going to be doing. And if they have a list of less than 5,000, it's going to be difficult for you to get the traction, for you to increase the revenue, right? And the 2K offers, because this is a math game, baby. If you're selling something that's $47, it's really hard to make that promise to a client of increasing at that rate without paid ads and other strategies. So Tapu, I love this. I think you're amazing. The other thing I loved about this is that you've worked hard to expand your network. He has 1K followers and 500 plus connections. This is ultra important. Once you have 500 connections and you start to get those followers, it boosts your online authorities, which makes social selling easier. Plus, LinkedIn favors your content and shows you in searches more. So if you are below 500 connections, I need you to be connecting with people, and you can use the search tool in LinkedIn. There's a free one, and then there's a paid sales navigator as well. Okay. So that is ultra, ultra important. The next one up is Jacqueline. I love that you're very clear. You're a freelance writer, email marketer, and public speaker. What I would really encourage you to do is to use Tapu's bio as some inspiration to talk about expected results people can get with you and start to qualify in your bio. And that is, and the first thing when it's the public speaker side of it, are you a paid public speaker? Do you do free trainings? You know, what is it that you want to sell and be known for, and make sure that is in your bio. Next up here, we have Bushra, DR copywriter, email strategist for e-com brands, coaches, and course creators. So pretty good. And you're almost there to the 500. What I would highly recommend is that you talk to, you did a little bit of qualifying saying for e-com brands, coaches, and course creators, but that's a pretty wide net. And it's okay to serve all of those different types of people, but we want to be specific in expected outcome or specific results, like we did in the last slide, because you want to be super sticky for people. And it's okay if you don't have a ton of testimonials, maybe you don't have the data, but let's work on that to work with what you do have in order to be super specific. Okay. And the next one up here is Prasanna. And I hope I'm doing a pretty good job of pronouncing all of your names. I will say it's not one of my strengths, but I'm doing my best. And email revenue optimization specialist. So that's really ultra clear of what you're going to help me with. So if I feel like I'm not making enough money from my email marketing, it's pretty clear that you're my guy, right? And I set up and fine tune your email system and write high converting sales emails. Subscribe to my free newsletter to learn more marketing insights for your biz. So a few things here that I absolutely love. Super clear how you're going to help me. I'm easily can self-qualify myself. I can qualify myself and pre-qual myself from your bio. Another thing that I'm not even sure if you know you did or not, but because I subscribe to your free newsletter, not only are you capturing leads that may not be ready to purchase but want to learn more, but you're also using, I hope you are, which I would assume you are, is that newsletter is probably pretty killer. And it is a great way to show your skills through your written word, right? So you're building your authority, like, oh, you're not sure I can write a good email? Why don't you sign up for my newsletter and test it out, right? So this is amazing, and I really like it. So the first thing that I want to talk about is there's different types of outreach, okay? There is absolutely cold outreach that is a data game. There's very little personalization to it. I personally like to add a little bit more personalization when I would do it. However, I'm going to show you some varying examples so that you can choose whichever fits the best for you. So first of all, the one that we're looking at right now is just a simple 3-step process. And once again, if this is a little difficult to read, which I think it is for me, and I don't know why, but the slides will be available afterwards. So the first thing is what I like to do. If I'm going to do cold outreach at this stage of my business, it's absolutely warm. I have my own social seller in my business that I've trained now. So now I've trained her to do the same exact thing. So first of all, it's really important to do a little bit of research. If you're going for quality over quantity, so let's say for you, you're booked out with just a couple of clients based on how much revenue you want and the prices that you charge versus like a large volume, this might be a really good fit for you. So the first thing that I do is I like to personalize my lead outreach. So I'll go to their profile. I'll go to, their Twitter, their LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever I'm going. And before sending a message to somebody, I'm going to look and see what they do, who they help. And most of us are clearly doing B2B. So this works really well. And then what I do is to show interest in what they are doing. So for example, I'll comment on a post, I'll like something, I maybe share it if it's really compelling and feel like it's appropriate for my own profile. Like I take a little bit of time. And the thing is that this lead research can't take you a long time, just a little, or you're going to run out of time. So I spend only about 60 seconds doing this. And I've trained myself to just quickly scroll and get what I need and get out. So the goal is 60 seconds. And where this becomes a challenging outreach method for people is when they're spending way too much time in the lead research. Okay. Like you don't need to spend a ton, but just a little bit. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to send out is what I would call a relationship message. Okay, so this is a little bit warmer of an appeal. So what this says, for those of you who maybe it's a little hard to see, is I give you an example here. So hi Amy, I just saw your post about how you're prioritizing self-care in your business right now. It's actually something that I'm focusing on too. Massage is booked. Hope you're having a great week. Now, the reason I don't have a CTA or a question at the end there is because as of right now, if I'm using a warmer approach to engaging with them, if you end in a question, the high alert, the buyers become very, very armed. Okay. So I believe in disarming buyers. And if I kick off with a question, which most sales coaches would tell you, always in a question mark, never a period, but I only do it for this particular one where I do end in a period because I don't want them to know I'm just seeking to sell to them. And the first thing to disarm them is to put a period instead of a question mark. Okay, that's just a little bit of sales psychology. And I have a template here below that you can use for your business. Okay, so then question number two. Question number two is when we actually begin to make a little bit of an offer here. Okay, so in this one, what we're going to do here is we are going to be really, really specific about exactly like how you can help them. And I have my template here because I think that it's really important that you see how I build my messages. So when you get the presentation, you'll see that, but this is what the written example is. So, hi Amy, I was just visiting your website and love your guide on how to manage your time. Tip number 3 was super valuable, and I see that you're really dedicated to helping busy working moms find more time and enjoy present moment and life. I offer social media management services and currently have an opening for a new client. I would love to support you in reaching more working moms while saving you 5 to 10 hours a week. And ending in a question mark. Would you be interested in booking a call with me to discuss outsourcing your social media marketing? So there is 20 years of sales psychology written to that one message, but I'm going to break it down to you what we're doing. So first of all, you are displaying that you, first of all, are not a bot and you're not playing the volume game. This is a personalized outreach. I also went to the website or wherever they're producing their content. And I even went super specific to tip number 3. Now, I will tell you once again, you cannot spend a lot of time doing this. So this is a skill, like just like if you're trying to get great biceps or a 6-pack, like it is part of skill building. You have to practice time and time again and do it in volume to be effective at this. But for me, this takes me no longer than 90 seconds to get this type of information and build this message so that I can hit send. The thing that you can, copy and paste or reuse in here a lot of times is that pitch at the bottom, like you offer social media management services, currently have an opening. I would love to support you in reaching more moms. What's really important here is that you don't in here want to be like, oh, hey, like I see your engagement's low or this is low or blah, blah, blah. You don't want to make them feel bad. They're less likely to respond. So I was really careful with my words saying, hey, reaching more. Right? Instead of like making any type of negative thing. You'll get a really, really good response rate on this and you'll get the engagement. And then after you send this message and someone replies to you is when you can start to speak more naturally, which we're going to go in a little bit from here. But this is one outreach method that I absolutely love and it's super direct but personalized. So if you're listening right now and you're like, I'm more of a personalized outreach person, then this one is for you. So let's go ahead and move on to some other samples that I have here. All right, so this is a little bit more of a traditional cold outreach. And like I said, like I do what I preach. I save these things. I have a folder for it, not just so that I can do a fantastic, fantastic training for other people, but I also use it as inspiration and I hand these things off to my own personal social seller, okay? So I got this one actually yesterday and I thought it was really amazing. I really liked it. And so here's his. So this was a cold email. Now, this is something that I want to talk about. If you're using LinkedIn, you can scrape an email really easily. And a hot trend right now that I think is working is to connect with them on LinkedIn, send an outreach message, but then also if there's an email available for you to pull, then you can send them an email. And since most of you are email marketers, it's really, really a great way to showcase your skills in communication and written word by doing so in the platform that you are going to be supporting people with. Okay. So I really liked this one. Quick question, Michelle. Dear Michelle, this is a cold email, so I'll be brief. Oh my gosh, that grabbed my eye like that. I was like, thanks for just being honest. And I'm going to keep reading. And there's different types of buyer personalities. Has anyone ever studied buyer personalities? Okay, well, I have, because I love it, right? And so there's lots of different names for it. Everyone tries to create their own like formula and names for them. But at the end of the day, like, I'm a dominant buyer. So what that means is that if you make me an offer and it's something I need, like, I am absolutely going to take the call with you, and I will absolutely respond in the DM to your pitch. Now, if you pitch me something I don't need, then I'm not going to respond, right? But sometimes we don't know and we just, guess and we send stuff out. You want those people. You want to find me. The reason why is because we respond super, super well to those just straightforward pitches. And there's actually a lot of dominant buyers out there, especially in decision-making roles. That's how they've gotten there anyway, right? So the hope is there's a lot of me, like buyer types like me out there. There's other types of buyers that are like, we have to be best friends. I need to know you for 6 years. Like, I'm going to be on your email list for a year. And there's only so much you can do with that for cold outreach. What I would recommend is that one of you have an email list, right? So if you're building your own email list, those people will eventually warm up to you and purchase from you. So we want to go for the low-hanging fruit in cold outreach. So we're looking for those dominant buyers. And those are the ones that are going to respond to you and appreciate your brevity. This is a cold email, so I'll be brief. We help coaching programs, I'm clearly a coach, find the right clients to be able to speak to them, educate them about your results, and create a desire to work with you. I loved that last end, create a desire to work with you. We help high-ticket business coaching programs hit record month in sales within 3 weeks of working with them. Also an amazing clear promise. Are you interested in a quick call describing how this works? All the best. David. Now, which is really amazing. And I almost want to respond to him to ask him if he's using technology to pull this data or if this is done manually. He said, P.S. I know it's a glowing recommendation.
It's automated.
It's automated? Oh my gosh.
Because you can see from Amelia J. Roberts' Collaboration Educator, because it's pulling the entire LinkedIn name field.
Okay, so I love that. I'm not that familiar with that technology piece that would have pulled that. Do you know what it is, Nabil?
It's any cold outreach email software where they'll put a like a spreadsheet together, and it looks like in this case they've put the personalization in the PS, but they'll have like first name, last name, email address, like sort of industry. So like we help coaching programs. That's probably like personalization, a personalization field. And so this PS is probably like a personalized first line they wrote for you that they've inserted as part of that the software does for them.
So the one that cold email marketing tool that I was using for a period of time, I don't think it had this advanced of personalization. So it's really cool to know that it's in there. And I honestly don't care if it's personalized or not, quite frankly. I just appreciate the effort and how clear and direct they're being because I'm a dominant buyer, right? Yeah. And so if I needed their help, I don't need help in any of these areas. So I'm clearly not going to respond to work with them. However, I thought it was a really, really great email, a really powerful one. Okay, so that is a great example. And also I want to make a couple of notes here. And, Nabil, you're the expert in email copywriting, but for me as a reader, I love how the paragraphs are short. It's broken up. It's easier for me to scan. And that makes me open the email and want to read it. Okay, because sometimes I get cold emails that are so long, the paragraphs are so long, and I never read any of it. Okay. So being brief and direct is super powerful. And okay, so now I'm going to move over to a messenger sample. So I absolutely loved this one. And this is me with the person. So I responded because I have a YouTube channel that's really underperformed. It's horrible. Like up to this point has been the biggest waste of my time and money ever. And I have no idea because I hired all the experts, but sometimes this is how business goes, right? And so I get a lot of outreach for people trying to fix my YouTube channel because of that. Okay. And sometimes we just have to be like, we have to laugh about it, right? But it is what it is. So I loved this message. So he came to my business profile on Facebook, and this is the email that I got, and I really, really liked it. Okay. So I'll just jump right in. So, hey, Michelle, hope you're doing great. Fantastic. I saw some things that are holding you back from growing on YouTube. It's really, really clear that there's some things holding me back. So I went ahead and recorded this video for you. Let me know when you're free to talk. Okay. So I watched the video, and he was freaking awesome, you guys. So awesome. Really ultra clear, went into some back end data stuff that I don't know how to do, showed me where there's, a gap in what I'm doing and room for improvement. It was super, super amazing. And I really, really liked it. So I did end up booking a call with him. And I just sort of decided that I wasn't going to press the pedal there on YouTube for me, for my own content strategy. I'm more of a written word person, is something that I'm learning in terms of what content I like to put out. So I didn't move forward with him, but it had nothing to do with his outreach. So he sent me a personalized video. He got me to respond. He was really natural in his response. He followed up with me to make sure that I booked a call because I was headed out on vacation. A really, really great job. So if I was a good fit, I would have said yes to this. So these are two totally different approaches to cold outreach. One is clearly automated using a cold email software, all of that, but I still liked it. And then two is a very personalized, something that takes a little bit more time to do. And I get a lot of these Loom videos from service providers when they're pitching me. And, if you're selling something that costs enough for you to spend this much time on lead gen and it makes financial sense, then go for it. Like I never got to the point where he sent me a proposal for services, but usually YouTube management is, it's a pretty high ticket offer. And so this was worth his time. And I did ask him, like, is this a successful outreach method for you? And he said, yes, this is all I do to fill my pipeline. Okay. And so that's really, really, really powerful. And the cool thing is that I've now shown you 3 different approaches to outreach. The reason why this is important is that based on your own personality, then you get to choose a method for outreach. And these are 3 really fantastic examples with different styles. All right, so now I am going to talk about the actual sales conversation. So I've talked about the storefront, which is step 1 for you. Step 2 is to choose a cold outreach. Step 3 is now how to figure out how to talk to all these people that you're getting into the DMs, okay? And I say DM, it depends what platform you're on, if it's Messenger, private message, direct message, but just work with me on the word DM. It's the easiest one for me to go to, okay? So we're gonna talk about prereqs, the do's and don'ts, best use scenarios, tactical empathy, which is a really cool approach to communicating, and also voice inflection. Now you might be saying voice inflection, wait, we're in Messenger, right? And I absolutely love speaking over voice notes, and you can do it on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. I personally don't leverage Twitter a lot for direct conversation, so I have no idea if it's available there, but I do know that you can reply via video to tweets, and so that's one way that you can do it. Okay. First thing is, if you have not run sales calls, Zoom calls, discovery calls in your business, please do that right now because it is hugely important. Because once you master that, it is so easy to convert in the DM because you are duplicating a sales call, your Zoom. I prefer Zoom. And the reason why I prefer Zoom or video is because there is so much nonverbal that goes into a conversion and de-escalating and to disarm, take people down. Like today's call would have been really difficult for me had she not been seeing me, my reaction to things, the video, my body language, all of that, it would have been really, really challenging. So there's certain types of conversions you can have happen in the DM, and there's other ones that I prefer to take it to Zoom, and you will begin to feel out which one's best for you as well. I do both, you can do both, and just kind of knowing the best solution at that part of your journey in terms of your sales skills. Okay, so the next thing here is know your A to B transformation. I want to talk about this, for example. If you have to communicate with the least amount of words in the most clear and concise way to be consistent in converting social selling. Okay, so you have to know what you do to help people. And that is what I call the A to B transformation. So if you think about it, somebody comes to you with, let's say, for example, they do email marketing, but they have a really crappy open rate. Nobody's buying. They do not see the profitable side of email marketing. That is over here in your A group, right? Over in B is we're converting our engagements here. We've made this amount sales. We can see the needle moving. It makes so much investing in email marketing. This is the best thing since sliced bread, right? So that's your A to B transformation. You need to know that, and you also need to know how you're going to support people to get to that transformation. Okay, and why that part's important is everybody works differently, especially when it comes to being a service provider. So I've had people help me with content in the past, and it has been kind of like a different combination of the way that we do things. So one of them's like, we meet once a month for a content day. I interview you, you write some rough drafts, I take over and move through the rest of the month. I've had other people that are like, hey, I'm going to prompt you weekly in a document, and I want you to respond to it. And that's how I create content. How you are going to provide that A to B transformation is really important, because some people are going to prefer one method over another, and being able to clearly communicate that is a really powerful part of social selling. So the next thing is a sales page checkout, a simple URL. If you are going to sell via DM only, then you better have a way for people to pay you. Okay, so make sure that you can take payment. I know that might sound like really basic, but I cannot tell you how many times this is not set up to be an easy way to collect money. So there's lots of different ways. You can use PayPal, Stripe. Like I use Thrivecart because I really like that. You can use Apple Pay, Dubsado, Honeybook. I mean, there's a million options. So just pick one and be ready to do it. Okay. I also really love a fast action bonus. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples. I remember years ago when I was first building out on Instagram, this woman reached out to me to help me build my Instagram following. And in her proposal, she sent to me, she said, hey, and if you move forward in the next 24 hours, I'm going to provide a complimentary rework of your bio and your link. Okay. And to me at the time when I was just starting and didn't really know how to do that effectively, that was really compelling to me. I was like, yes, oh my gosh, I have no idea how much someone would have charged me for that. So I acted really, really fast for that fast action bonus. Another example is that when I hired my first bookkeeper, which was big for me. I love making money. I don't really love managing money. So that was amazing. It was one of the first people that I hired. And when she sent me her proposal to get started, she threw in a strategy call, basically, if I had closed within 24 hours. And she said that to me because she knew it was something that I didn't love doing, and she felt like I would value it, which she did, which I moved forward. Okay. So fast action bonuses are to take the person that's moving at their own pace and push them over the edge. Okay. Clearly you need a clear offer, especially selling in the DM. And if you're selling in the DM, I would even challenge you to have certain packages people can purchase from you, because that's the easiest way to purchase. For example, when I sell my group coaching program, when I have an open cart for that, I would say more than 80% of those are all conversions in DM and my sales page. It's because it's a clear offer. My sales page is doing most of the work, right? Now, if someone wants to hire me as their fractional chief sales officer, that is a custom engagement. I would not sell that in the DM. because that's just not appropriate for that type of offer. So we're going to have a discovery call for that, right? So just knowing which way to go is really, really powerful. So do's and don'ts. Don't skip steps in my proven framework that I'm going to give you, okay? If you skip steps, it won't work as well. Number one. Also, do it in order. Don't create your own order because it's all built in sales psychology, so follow the order, okay? 2, leverage pauses. The worst thing you can do is feel like you have to respond to something immediately when you don't know what you want to say. It is okay to take a pause. It's okay if you're on a social media platform where they can see that you've seen it. It's okay to take a pause. It's actually respected by a dominant buyer if someone does take a pause, because then what that communicates to them is they're not desperate for sales. They're not in a rush. Like, they have authority. All of these things is what it's communicating. Okay. I like voice memos. Keep them under 60 seconds each, even if the platform allows you for a longer period of time, because nobody has an attention span longer than 60 seconds. So don't exceed that. I would even argue if you can keep it to 30 would be even better. If you are responding in text blocks, like I said in that email earlier, break it up so that it's easier to read and to scan. The other thing is ask one question at a time. Do not double load. So this is a huge mistake I see all the time. It's like, for example, you say, how's it going in your business this month? Did you hit your goals for Q3? Like, the mind can't do that, all right? You have to keep things simple. One question, and always end your messages with a question, because in exception of that first message that I showed you in the very beginning, periods kill deals, question marks keep them open, okay? Next thing is anticipate hesitation, and I'm going to talk about tactical empathy and storytelling. I've told you multiple stories during this training already, and it's really important for people to connect with you, to trust you, to like you, to relate, and those are all parts of things that go into sales. The next thing is to employ voice inflection. And what voice inflection is, if you're using a voice memo, and by the way, it is optional to use voice. You can do everything in written, but I'm still a big fan of using nonverbals, because all of the science behind sales and buyer psychology, human behavior, nonverbals are incredibly important for conversion, okay? And then lastly is to motivate swift action. And like I had said, best use case scenarios, it's your cold outreach that you've done and they're now responding to you. This training applies to coaches as well. So if like someone was doing a live launch or something like that, it's also really amazing. Another cool thing that I have seen a lot of service providers do and coaches, I have not had to go to this level to get the conversions I want, but this is something you can do, is that if you can have them actually fill out the application and then jump back into DM and conduct the sales call like that. If you feel like you need a jumping board and having just a general DM conversation, like you don't feel confident enough with that, you can use the power of a client application that you would usually use to conduct a discovery call, but use it in the DM, which is pretty powerful. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into what tactical empathy is. Tactical empathy, so I think everybody probably knows what empathy is, especially as copywriters. You know that you have to be relatable. You can put yourself in other people's shoes in order to make them move. This is all really important. But tactical empathy means that there's a strategy behind it, right? And that's sales strategy in this circumstance. And when if we're just generally empathetic, then you get stuck in the friend zone and your messages don't go anywhere. If you're an empath, this is really hard. So if you're an introvert, it tends to be a little bit more, you tend to go into the friend zone quickly. I had a client just this past week. Usually I audit her DMs like literally almost every single week. And we had a couple of periods of a couple of weeks there where we weren't doing it. And she's like, Michelle, I'm not booking calls. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like, I need you back in here to be looking at this. So I jumped in and I was like, why are you staying in the friend zone for so long? Like, you are literally decreasing your authority. You're not communicating as a leader in your space. You're asking for validation. You're acting subordinate. Like, what is happening in here? So it is really important that before you communicate, before you hit send, you're like, Am I leading the conversation? Am I the authority? Will somebody give me money? Like, really check yourself in the way that you do things, okay? So, I'm going to talk about how you can navigate conversations, difficult conversations, using tactical empathy, and then we're going to jump into the framework. And I realize that it's already 10 o'clock, and so I'm going to try to speed up a little bit here. All right, so prospect. It is impossible for me to hit 10K months. Do not say thank you for sharing. Yes, it's impossible for you. Like, this is a little bit of a cheekiness, right? But tactical empathy allows you to feel what they are feeling, but still lead the conversation. So instead, say, thank you for sharing that hitting the coveted 10K months feels impossible for you right now. That is how you approach any type of conversation that where you can be empathetic without losing your authority. Okay. So then voice inflection, if you are using voice notes, is really important to use inflection. So what this means, and also remember that buying is emotional, money is personal. Even if you're selling to a large business and they're just a decision maker within the organization, like they likely have a budget and they are evaluated on their ability to stay within a budget and to get the highest ROI. So money is personal and you can't forget that. So using voice is super powerful. So if I'm going to say something that is inspiring and happy and movement, like I better be communicating that way versus like being monotone and not excited and all of those things. And this is a little bit of a game that you can play with a friend. And for sake of time, I'm going to kind of speed through this and just use one example. But I want you to try speaking the sentence with a variety of meanings just by changing the voice inflection. Okay. So for example, I understand that problem. Not many do. That's a pretty authoritative voice inflection, right? And then for example, I understand that problem after helping 100 people overcome it. That seems a little bit over enthusiastic, and I'm not sure if I trust you, right? So play around with voice inflection. It's a really, really fun thing if you're going to use voice notes. All right, so now we're going to jump into the framework, which we've been waiting for, okay? So now that you understand the psychology, the outreach, all the things, I'm going to jump into my framework. Okay. Tactical sales psychology enrollment strategy. Not a really cool name, but it really gets the job done. Naming things is not my thing. All right. So we have all the steps laid out, and I'm going to jump into each of them. So the first one is rapport. Okay. It's really, really important that you build rapport in outreach, and but it does not need to take a long time. All right. So in this example, so what I'm going to show you right now is I have a Facebook group. And when people join my Facebook group, then I have a social selling strategy behind it. So that's what I'm showing you. And that's the example that I'm using right now. Okay. So, hi, Alicia. Welcome to my group. Hello to close. What's going on in your business that made you want to join? That's the welcome message. Now I'm going to go into qualification, which is step 2. We're just pretending she responded with an answer. So I'll give you an example like, oh, I hired a new social seller, but I'm not quite sure how to support her. Like that could be, an example. What you want to do is acknowledge, validate, and peel. It's a 3-step communication process. And so that means acknowledge what they said. Don't skip over. That is the number one thing that I see people mess up is like they're moving on with their sales questions without actually acknowledging what's even been part of the conversation. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. Can you tell me more about your current process for consistently converting your leads into paying clients? That's a qualifying question for me, right? Because if they don't know how to consistently convert, then I want to keep talking to them. Right? If they come into me and they're like, oh, I'm just looking to get more followers from short video, like to do what? Like, do you convert them really well after that? Is that really only your problem? I need to make sure they're qualified. Then I move into motivation qualification, which means how motivated are they to fix the problem that I know that I can help them with, right? So how many clients would you like to enroll every single month? Really, really simple question. Like, how motivated are you? If somebody says like, oh, I don't really care. I'm just, doing this part-time. Like they're not that motivated, right? earlier on in the presentation, we were talking about how you know if you should be following up with people. Well, this is how you begin to qualify them to see if they're worthy of that follow-up and that time, because not everyone's going to be a perfect fit. Okay. Sneak peek secret sauce. All right. So because they're joining my Facebook group, some things are assumed in this particular conversation. They're joining my Facebook group, which literally helps them make more sales, right? That's like the promise of it. So there are some assumed things here, but you'll also have assumed things in your conversations based on the outreach, the response, and the type of person. Okay. That's a great goal, acknowledging her goal. Have you ever considered diving into exactly why your soulmate client would say yes consistently and creating a call framework around those motivators so that you can have easy, high converting sales conversations in just 30 minutes? So what I did is, just like I talked to you about before, that A to B transformation earlier is like a big promise of mine is like, how would you like to close in 30 minutes or less, 80% of the time? It's a pretty great promise, and that is one of the core promises of what I do. Okay, the next thing is, wait, hold on. Let's see what her assumed response would be there. So typically, if somebody's coming to me, they're like, no, I spend an hour on discovery calls. I end up teaching, I'm coaching, I'm not leading the conversation. Type A buyers take me down, like all of these things. Oh, that's one thing I want to talk about right now. When I was talking about the dominant and the type A buyer. So, and because I am that person, I can speak to this personality. I naturally take control of all situations. It's just my personality, right? However, I love a service provider that comes in and challenges me and says, hey, can you take the back seat for a second? I'm going to help you here. This is my expertise. And I freaking love that. I'm like, yes, sign me up. How much are you? Just do the thing, right? Because even if type A buyers, dominant buyers like myself, like you want to find a million of me, right? I'm the easiest person to sell to. And I joke about that all the time. The reason why is like, I'm tired of making all of the decisions all of the time. Like I love hiring service providers and contractors who just know how to get the job done. The less you need me to be successful is how much more I'm going to pay you, right? Like if you really think about that. And it's a really important thing to realize that. So, and I always say the sales conversation is the sneak peek into what the relationship will be like. So if you don't take control during the discovery call, I can't expect you to take control as the contractor that I've signed on, right? But if you take control during the sales conversation, I can expect you to carry that authority and that confidence into our working relationship. So then I move into the offer. So most don't, which I just talked about. That's exactly why I created my Discovery Call Success Pack. I took all the ick out of sales and packaged up my Empowered Yes formula into a digital course. Would you like to learn more? Okay. So typically, like my sales funnel for my Facebook group is to get them into my SLO when they enter. And that's the starting point. Then it sells them into my higher stuff. So that's just my particular funnel. That's where I'm going here. Okay. And then I do my sales page close, right? Because we're selling in the DMs. And the other option is to book a call, which I would say is an upsell opportunity. So amazing, super excited to help you. You can purchase the course for just $47. And if you complete the purchase today, then I will send you my bonus training on high ticket offer creation, also valued at $47. Is there anything else you need to know about the offer to be all in to crush those sales calls with me? Okay, really direct, really clear, all the things. I'm giving her a bonus. All right. Alternative is, let's say she responds and says, well, I have a team of 5 people and I don't think a digital course is a good fit for me. Clearly, I'm not going to push a $47 product on somebody that really needs me to come in and train a sales team. Okay. So then I know that it's time for a sales call. So I have my social seller then, book them on my calendar so I can talk to them. Okay. I also want to quickly jump in here for a storytelling objection crusher. So I strongly believe that you can literally navigate and let me say navigate, not overcome objections using stories. I want to tell you a secret about objections. Objections are actually part of human behavior and buyer psychology. If you start to hear a couple of objections, like for example, I'm not sure if I have time to do this, or pricing or whatever it is literally the mind trying to buy from you. Okay. If someone doesn't want to buy from you, they're not even going to object. They're just going to be like, bye, see you later. Okay. So objections are actually buying signals. And if you know how to navigate them, then you can actually accelerate the sales cycle and close from them. Okay. That is a huge mindset shift for most people. And so if that's one for you, I'd love to hear it in the comment section. So I use stories. I use stories all the time to overcome objections, especially for me. An objection that I get a lot is, I'm not sure I can do this. Am I meant for, like, can I really sell? Can I do this? So it's an inner belief objection, which isn't an objection necessarily to my offer, but it is like, can Michelle be the person to fix that? Right. And so using stories to help people understand, like, hey, I've been there, I've done it. Like, here we go. I'm going to help you in the same way I helped Amy or Sarah or Max or Adam, and helping them relate that way is super powerful. And the other cool thing is that if you're newer in business, you don't have a bunch of client success stories to share, like, that's okay. You can use your own personal stories. You can also rely heavily on data and articles that you've read, and that also proves your authority and how you're keeping up with things in the industry of email marketing. And you'll notice that when I'm booking calls, and it was on the other slide too, is that I tend to offer like 1 or 2 times that we can connect. And then they'll say, oh, great, that works for me. I'll ask for their email. I put them into my calendar, and then they receive my application, my email warm-up sequence, all of the things. I see a higher conversion rate that way than just sending my calendar link. If somebody says, hey, those times don't work for me, and we go back and forth a couple of times and it's not working, I will send the calendar invite, but I get a higher conversion, and so do my clients do, when they offer times versus just pushing the calendar. Okay. Oops. All right. For sake of time, I'm not going to go into this example email sequence in a ton of detail, but this was another one. Someone was helping me with Facebook ads, and this is how she enrolled me via DM. She used the same thing that I teach in those slides before. You can use any type of video communication like Loom, Vimeo, other things. I like Dub for various lots of reasons. So if you're looking for a way to reply via video and not just voice note to people, I love Dub. So I put that link in there. And now it's time for action items, because it wouldn't be a good training if I wasn't challenging you to do something, right? So I would love for you to join my group. And after you join my group, I would love for you to go and try what I've taught today. And if you are willing to share that experience inside my Facebook group and post a conversation where you black out personal information, because I don't want to share that, then I'm happy to give you some back pocket coaching on that conversation if you post it into my group. And that is one of my, like, I enjoy that a ton. I love looking at conversations. It's really fun for me, and looking for the nuances. All right, so if you enjoyed today's training, I would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate if you went to my LinkedIn and left a recommendation, because recommendations are super, super important when we're social selling. And I would encourage you to make sure that if you have a happy client, or you conduct a workshop yourself, or you help anyone, that you also ask for recommendations. I have a couple of free things that you can grab from me. So one is that first example I gave you that was a little tough to read. Oops. So the first example that I gave you that was a little tough to read is the cold outreach in the DM. So you can just go to my website /DM and download that, and you'll have that in a nice big view. And then also I have a free pipeline management training. You can go to organizedleads.com, and it is broken down into, I think, 5 or 6 videos. And so that way you can learn how to manage leads, follow up, things like that. Today there wasn't enough time for me to cover all of that, so I prioritized the other things. And I'm going to leave this slide up, but I'm going to hop over to chat right now and answer any questions. And yeah, and I hope that you guys all loved it. It was super fun for me to teach on. And I also want you to remember that you're not going to be perfect at this right away. that is an unrealistic expectation. So it's okay if a couple doors get slammed in your face. Just remember, if you don't keep going out there, you're not going to build a business. And it just takes a little bit of grit and some courage. And I also really encourage you to have a business bestie that you can chat with behind the scenes and connect with and feel supported. And also, clearly, you're part of this community. And so show up here and talk with your fellow copy skills students and go rock and roll it.
All right, so does anybody have any questions? We have about 20 minutes for questions. So if you want to come on video, just raise your hand and I'll add you as a co-host. Or if you don't want to come on video, you can just type your question in the chat. I would rather you actually come on video because, I mean, you're going to be doing sales calls, so you're going to have to get on video. So you might as well stop being shy about coming on video. You go ahead.
Okay, so thank you so much for the presentation, Michelle. It was so helpful, and I have so many ideas right now. My question is that my ideal clients are I am their ideal client as well, right? So when I follow them on Instagram, it's them trying to talk to me and trying to enroll me into their programs, right? So so I am unable to handle those conversations, or just try to introduce myself as an expert or a service provider, that I want to serve them instead of me wanting to join their program. So that's my first question. And if I can just throw in one more, my cold emails, I think they land, mostly assistants read emails. That's what I'm assuming, because I get a lot of support tickets when I send out cold emails. So if there is a work around that. So those are my questions, and thank you again for the presentation.
Okay, I'm going to start with the second one first because it's an easier answer for me. So the one about getting support tickets. So what I would, what is it? Is that me with the feedback? I can't tell. Okay. So what I would recommend is finding a different email address to reach out to that's not going to support. So for example, if you're finding those emails off of LinkedIn, like find a higher decision maker, and you can hack company email addresses. They're usually all formulated like similarly, right? And so that's what I would do if I were you, is just try to find a different decision maker so you don't end up in support. Also connect with them on LinkedIn. If they're producing content, like their content, send them a DM, say that you sent them an email, so they'll go and check it. So that would be what my recommendation would be for that. And it might take you a few tries. So if it's worth it, like keep going, right? And so that would be what my recommendation would be for that. Okay, awesome. And then your other one were coaches. So I'm assuming you're going after coaches? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So yes, I know this is so they're probably this happens a lot. I call one of my clients called it something really funny the other day. Sales shaming. Okay. So what people will do, and this is an example, is like, let's say you do a cold outreach and it's to a business coach that wants to then help you. They'll be like, oh, is this how you're getting clients? Right? So it's like sales shaming. It's like, you know what? Before you had your fancy funnel and your ads budget and your SEO, like you were doing this too, right? So I just like think it's ridiculous. So for you, when they're trying to enroll you, then what I would recommend to them is to say, thank you so much. I'm actually already invested in some mentorship right now that I'm really happy with. But I would love to do is, if you are looking for someone to help you with email marketing, I would love the opportunity to show you how I can help you, find and enroll more clients, because clearly you're doing amazing things in the business industry, especially like blank testimonial that I just read.
Okay, that was super helpful. Thank you. And I will try that next. Yeah.
Yes, and like clearly that's really good. I'm a wordsmith. That is one of my talents. So clearly that was very well like spoken to you right now. But I want you to understand the undertones of it, so that even if you can't be that articulate in the beginning, what's important is authority, right? Like that's what you have to be able to communicate in social selling, is your own authority, not just authority as, you know, being able to write emails and content, but like, hey, I'm confident. I'm over here rocking it. And like, this is the boundary I'm setting. And if you respect it, then you're going to respect me as a service provider, and we're going to rock and roll.
Got
Yeah,
it.
just remember, guys, she's been doing this for 30 years, so you're not going to sound as pro as she does.
Yes, exactly. That's why I just said that. I've been doing this for like, since I've been able to chat, I think. My mom
Go
said
ahead.
I was born convincing. All right.
Go ahead, Sinead. You go ahead.
Thanks, Nabil. And thanks, Michelle. This has been really a fantastic session. So I'm going to be selling supplements, and so I'm slightly different to some of the others, but I still obviously need to write copy. And the thing is that I have used them. I know that they're top notch, but it's a bit like what you said at the start, that I don't have the real testimonials yet myself. However, my upline obviously has, and he, you know, has many, many years. So one of the things I was thinking of doing was maybe having live, scheduling Zoom and broadcast that, so that it's kind of information dissemination, but then there would be, I guess, a call to action at the end of it. And I'm wondering, you know, what are your thoughts on that type of selling? Is it less productive for the amount of effort and, you know, work that would go into it, or what are your thoughts on that?
So one of my biggest clients teaches network marketers how to grow six-figure businesses, and I'm the sales coach for that program, and I helped him create the selling program itself. So this is actually a really appropriate conversation to have right now. I can definitely speak to this. So with network marketing, the biggest mistake that's made by network marketers is going and features and benefits and product barfing is what I want to call it, for lack of a better word. Okay. Like in sales, features and benefit dumping is like your number one thing you don't want to do. Because if you can't identify a problem that you can solve, telling them about, like, you know, all the ingredients and how well it works, like, it doesn't matter to them. So you need to speak to the transformation, not the product. That is how you will get people into your sales funnel as a network marketer. And also, you're going to really have to work on your skills for disarming, because so many people hate network marketers, and I'm just speaking truth to it. It is what it is. It has a bad reputation. But if someone says, ew, is this network marketing? Okay, because literally I was coaching someone the other day, and that is the response they got in the DM selling. And I was like, this is what you say back to them. Say, yes, actually, this is a network marketing business. And just in case you weren't sure how that worked, it works just like a regular organization where there's a CEO at the top that gets paid more than everyone below. And it also looks like a triangle. And I chose this instead of going to a 9-to-5, so that I could also be an independent business owner, because it works better for my lifestyle.
Excellent.
Squash.
Thank you. Yeah.
Because you're learning how to be an amazing copywriter and content creator, I really challenge you to speak less about the products, right? And more about the transformation and hooking people that way, not just to buy the products, but I know the way you're going to make a lot of money is getting people on your team. So that's really important too.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey guys. So I wasn't sure how to phrase this question because it seemed very basic, but I understand the cold pitch aspect of it. Thus far in my, I guess, copywriting career in the last year, I was in an agency and then I shifted to freelancing about 6 months ago. Something that I was trying to figure out, and maybe it's simpler than I'm making it out to be, is how do I discern which clients I want to reach out to? Like, how do I even start the process of filtering out the clients I want to do cold pitches to? Because I at least conceptually get the game of how to kind of slide in their DMs and, you know, navigate that conversation, like on some level.
Right.
I've just had a bit of a privilege on my end because whatever leads I've had in terms of my freelance work have been inbound. People have DM'd me based off my social media profile, but the cold pitch is new to me, obviously, but how do I find the kinds of clients I want to work for? I mean, there are different answers given on different websites, but strictly in the social media domain, whether it's Twitter, Instagram,
Sure.
what have you, right?
Can you tell me specifically like what your packages are, or your main offer, your ideal client, a little bit about that?
At the moment, my main like ideal clients are coaches, info products, courses like online e-course, educational courses, things of that nature. At the moment, that's what I've been dabbling in.
Is that your agency background too?
In agency, it was a bit of a mix. It was that on top of working with some drop shipping clients in Amazon and beyond Amazon as well as like humanitarian, like charities and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was sort of the age. They had a mix of different clientele that I just wrote for.
Okay, so I have a unique idea for you because I'm an idea person. So take it if you enjoy it.
Sure.
And I know sometimes when you come from agencies, you can't necessarily share specific client results because it was part of the agency, right? But that does not mean that you can't share a case study of a client that you did support without naming them or giving away personal information. I think it would be really powerful for you. Also to showcase your writing skills as well, is to do your own case study that you can share in the DMs, because you have a lot of experience, even if it was in agency mode. I think it would be a really powerful conversion tool for you. So that's just thing that I wanted to bring up on a side note in terms of your DM conversations. And it's also like a third party intervention, right? Like something for them to see, to understand, that's going to boost your authority, do some of the selling for you. Okay. So that's, and then if you have clients right now outside of agency that you can do a similar thing for, go for it, because it sounds like you're pretty experienced, but you can do a couple of them as well. So for example, for me, what I do a lot of times is, depending on who's talking to me in the DMs, I'll be like, oh, I remember I helped someone in this exact same scenario. So I've started systemizing that share in like a case study format. Okay. So it's really, really helpful. Next is how to find these people. So it depends on your preferred social media platform. So are you LinkedIn and Twitter? I'm sorry, I forget what you said.
At this point in time, I'm mainly Facebook and Twitter.
Facebook and Twitter.
And I'm looking into Instagram as well.
Okay. So I have a lot of opinions on Instagram, but I personally think LinkedIn and Facebook are more profitable. But
gotcha.
That's just my own opinion. So what I would do, first of all, with Facebook groups, with Facebook, Facebook groups are a great way to network, connect with people. So if you join Facebook groups that your ICA is hanging out in there, you can start to network and connect with people in there. That's a great way to find people, because a lot of times people will post things like, I need help with this, or I'm struggling with this, or this is my business, and you can be connecting with those people. So I typically say 5 to 10 groups, and you're in there every day to see if anybody's saying anything. You can keyword search in there. There's lots of things you can do. What I do, if you're in a group and you see someone that's an ideal client based on some things they've been saying, then I always connect with them. And then in the friend request, like in my original outreach message that I have, where you're just building the relationship, I'll be like, hey, I saw your post about this in X group and love to stay connected with people that are working at this level in their business. Hope you're having a great day. Like something really just basic. The reason why that's important is because then likely they're going to accept my friend request. And when I post things on my personal profile, which by the way is getting so much engagement, personal profiles, if you switch to professional mode, is like out of this world engagement right now, then they're going to see my posts. So I'm going to be soft selling them through my content too. Okay. Well, that's what I personally like on Facebook. Like I said, my personal profile, I converted it to professional mode. And I'm obsessed. Like the numbers are insane. It's better than my email open rate or anything. So if you get the right people focusing in on your Facebook, you can build that network. It's super cool. And then when it comes to LinkedIn, I highly recommend that you start using the search tool in LinkedIn to narrow things down. Have you used the search tool?
I have, but I'll admit that I've been very lackadaisical with LinkedIn. It's been a while.
Right. That's okay. No problem. So I dig LinkedIn. I love it. And it's not even my platform, which things are going to be changing with that. So what I would do is there's the free version and then there's the paid version. The difference between the two is like advanced searching and like lead management and stuff. Okay. So you can start with the free one. But for example, you can literally search for people who have coach in their title. right? You can search for employees. So maybe they have 1 to 5 employees and that might be a better fit for you. You can search by demographic and a bunch of other things in LinkedIn. And so I would play around with some of those search filters and then look at the results and see if it's working for you, if they look qualified from your naked eye, right? Save the search and then spend 30 minutes a day or more. How much, remember how in the beginning I was lecturing about, if you're don't have client work, you should just be selling. Then you can start to narrow in on that and build yourself a lead list and start to outreach that way. And then let's say, for example, you find some criteria you're searching and you really like it, you're going for it. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for like 30 days and I'm not getting results. Like, then you're like, time to tweak. Like, what did I do wrong? Who should I go after instead? How can I up my content, earn my engagement in order to get better results?
All right, awesome. Yeah, thank you. I guess I'll start dabbling with LinkedIn because Fields also recommended that as a platform of choice.
Oh, and then the last thing is to join networking groups.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in several copywriting groups and marketing groups already. But I mean, yeah, I should expand beyond that.
Not copywriting groups where your ICAs are not where you're learning.
Yeah, exactly. You got it. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
But by the way, guys, course creators, coaches, and consultants are not the only 3 niches in the fucking world. And if you're on LinkedIn, there's like a million goddamn industries, and they all need copy. And would you rather try to negotiate with some startup fucking solopreneur who's barely cracked 10K a month to pay you like $3,000 for an email retainer, or would you rather earn $20,000 a month just for writing like a fucking landing page for like some huge enterprise software company? And it's not like 20,000. That's like peanuts. They won't even like talk to you if it's like a $20,000 contract. Those deals are 100K. So like change your definition of what is possible in terms of niches.
Thank you so much. I didn't want to say that because I wasn't quite sure of like, how niches were taught in your program. But yeah, that's the hardest sale that's the hardest sale you'll make as a course creator, a solopreneur, a coach. Like you go to an e-com company and they're like, yeah, sure, perfect. 20, 30, that like absolutely. Right. So I love it. That's amazing. Okay. So I probably have time for one more.
More question. Yeah. So BJ, go ahead. I got to hop off as well after that.
That was a perfect transition because mine is about SaaS companies because that's mostly who I've been working with. But my issue with my LinkedIn is that I also have a consulting firm with a business partner, and we help them get exit ready. So I do the email marketing like for me, and it kind of gets them started. It helps them generate revenue, so then they can pay us more then. But I need to make my profile actually work for both of those. So it's almost like I can get in as just doing direct response, email marketing, helping them as like a marketing consultant. And then it's like, it's easier to do the transition to, hey, we can help you now get to an exit point when they've already worked with me and they know that, my marketing works, my ideas work. So I have to make my LinkedIn kind of be able to juggle both of those.
Yeah, I think you can position that as a natural progression, but you're also niching down if you choose to leave both of them there. So if the goal of that company is to get profitable to sell, then you're going to attract that person really easily. But if somebody's like, no, I have no thoughts of it, they might be challenged by your storefront thinking, I don't know if we're a good fit. So you just want to massage your words correctly, which I'm sure you can figure out in order to make sure you're attracting that right person. But SaaS is amazing. I actually have my own SaaS CRM coming out in January, and I'm super excited about it. So, and that's I used to sell SaaS too. And I think it's amazing because SaaS is a very formulated approach to email marketing too. So it's awesome, like in terms of like free trial funnels, the follow-up emails, the all the things you can do. And so for you specifically, because it sounds like you're such an authority in this space, like I would illustrate your framework and share your framework with people. And because the thing is, no one's going to do it on their own. The right person's not going to do it on their own. But if you have a framework, that would be an amazing freebie, opt-in, authority builder. Like, I mean, that would be such a great conversion tool. And that's just an idea that came up for me.
You mean just on the emails or just the whole piece? Because the firm itself does like the operations, helps them with hirings, and then obviously marketing piece, obviously I help with, and so it's like, I mean,
I think you can do it for both, but
I was going to say both.
So I would start with your email marketing, because it sounds to me from what you're saying, that's where your foot gets in the door with people.
Mm-hmm.
That's your entry level. So that's what you should lead with. And then continuity, or, you know, the upsell that happens in the back end is then into that following.
Okay. No, that's, yeah, perfect. Because yeah, that's like Nabil said, that was one of the things we're like, wait a minute, fighting with all these, everyone else going for the course creators. And I'm like, SaaS has this ever growing continuity. It's very easy for them to pay you if you bring in a couple clients, your profit pretty much every month without having to get started.
That's exactly why I'm starting. Like, everyone keeps asking me for my CRM, like referrals, like what do you use? Blah, blah. I'm like, this is dumb. Why am I not collecting that revenue? So, you know, I'm going to white label a product and make it all fancy and cool and do it. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So, and if people are in, the reason why MRR and it works so well with software is once you're in it, it's really hard to get out of it. It's such a pain in the ass. So you don't have as high of a churn as you would in any other type of recurring model.
Yeah, the transition costs alone. I used to work in, you know, I've in old jobs. I remember when we had software, it'd be like, it costs more to switch over than it does to actually buy the new thing. So
100%. So hook them and keep them.
Exactly. Okay.
Awesome.
Excellent. Thank you so much. This was fantastic. Thank you. And thanks for putting this together.
Wonderful.
Perfect. Round of applause for Michelle. Clap hands in the
Neil,
chat.
are you okay if I take a quick picture so I can share that I did this today on social?